Hello, this is WBS TV and you're watching Week in Focus. The primary leaving examinations were released this week amidst concerns about UPE schools' performance. Trending this week also has been the unfortunate attack on the Fourth Estate by the old Kampala DPC Joram Mwesige, which saw WBS TV's Andrew Lwanga hospitalized and the DPC suspended and later arraigned in court with trial set for this coming week. Developments of these events as they unfolded coming right up here on Week in Focus. I am Anita Mwangazi. It's good to have you with us. The lawyers under their umbrella body, the Uganda Law Society, boycotted celebrations to mark the new law year in protest against the president's failure to appoint a Chief Justice and the Deputy Chief Justice. These two top leadership positions in the judiciary have been vacant for the last 2 years following the retirement of Justice Benjamin Odochi after clocking the mandatory retirement age of 70, a move which the lawyers oppose. But to the acting Chief Justice, Stephen Kavuma, it is business as usual in the judiciary even without the presence of the Chief Justice. Our reporter Stella Nabakoza reported.
The judiciary kicks off the new law year with unresolved business of lack of a Chief Justice and his deputy following the retirement of Justice Benjamin Odochi. This leaves Justice Stephen Kavuma acting in both top leadership positions, a move that prompted lawyers under the umbrella Uganda Law Society to snap this year's celebrations, protesting against the failure by the appointing authority to appoint a Chief Justice. Speaking on phone, the Uganda Law Society President Ruth Sebatindira says it has been long overdue and has cost the judiciary.
We did attend, we wanted to register our protest for the lack of a Chief Justice and a Deputy Chief Justice. We are calling for these appointments to be made so that the judiciary is stronger, or a strong institution as another arm of government, so that the people of Uganda enjoy justice, so that we all enjoy justice as it is intended to be, or as it is provided in our constitution.
It has not had an adverse effect on the running of the institution of the judiciary. This High Court is big, but it couldn't have accommodated all the lawyers in this country. That's one. That is the beginning point. Secondly, coming to this function, even when we invite you, is a matter for you to take a decision on, okay? You may decide to come, you may decide to stay away. What is important is that, as you saw, the bar was very, very effectively and massively represented at this function.
But to the acting Chief Justice, the absence of the Chief Justice has not affected operations of the judiciary in any way.
Of course, everyone can interpret our action to the best of their understanding. We have given a stand and the reason for which we took the action. The Attorney General is true, is the head of the bar. The President Uganda Law Society is the president of the Uganda Law Society. Those are two different issues. We as a bar association,
if we have challenges of lack of a substantive Chief Justice, or lack of a substantive Deputy Chief Justice, of lack of facilities in terms of money, sufficient judges, those are challenges we must continue to talk about so that we can find solutions about them. But it should not be an excuse to cause a collapse of the institution. The institution must continue to function, and I'm glad you all know it is functioning.
The celebrations were marked with new tasks and assignments for the judicial officers. Each High Court judge is expected to clear 230 cases this year, 800 for magistrates, 400 for Grade 1 and Grade 2 magistrates, Supreme Court 80 cases, Court of Appeal 800 cases. A total of 162,710 cases are expected to be disposed of this year.
Come rain or sunshine, the judiciary of Uganda must continue to dispense justice to the people of Uganda. It is not a favor. It is not a favor, it is a right to all the people of this country to get justice from Uganda.
Last year, a total of 10,990 cases were disposed of, out of a total of 108,584 cases registered, leading to a backlog of 132,555 cases. Stella Nabakoza, WBS TV, Kampala.
Thursday this week saw the release of the 2014 primary leaving examinations by Uganda National Examinations Board, where it emerged that boys performed better than the girls. UNEB Secretary General Matthew Bukenya said an improvement in performance was recorded with 10.4% increase from 9.4% in 2013. And as Shamim Bataliwo reported, the candidates performed best in religious education, social studies and maths, while English and science were poorly performed.
Releasing primary leaving examination results of 604,971 candidates from 11,904 schools today at the Prime Minister's Auditorium, Educations from Examinations Board UNEB noted an improvement in performance of candidates compared to 2013.
The reports from chief examiners indicated that generally the quality of candidates' work has improved compared to that of the previous years. The candidates' expression and handwriting showed improvement compared to the previous years.
Of these, 471,914 are beneficiaries of universal primary education and 133,057 from private aided schools countrywide. Compared to previous years, candidates performed better in subjects of social studies, religious education, followed by mathematics, integrated science, and in English, in that order.
Because if the products from secondary schools are not good in terms of mathematics and science, then the performance at primary is going to be affected. So the reason is that the products from secondary who go to teach or who go to teacher training to train are not yet as good as we want them.
Boys yet again performed better than girls, according to grades. In Division 1, boys were 36,339, while the girls in the same division were 24,617. In Division 2 were 135,006 boys, 118,542 girls. In Division 3, there are 58,194 boys, while the girls in the same division were 69,155. In Division 4, there were 36,106 boys, and in Division 4, girls were 38,903. Under the ungraded division, there were only 28,397 boys, while the girls were 40,363. And in Division X, the boys were 8,267, while the girls were 9,522.
More often than not, girls, as you heard in terms of absenteeism, their numbers are higher than those of boys because they always ask them very easily to stay home to do some piece of work for the household. Meanwhile, the boy children are encouraged to go to school on a daily basis. And that's why when we post results, it reflects back to how often girl children are in class on a daily basis.
Districts of Kampala, Wakiso, Entebbe, Bushenyi, Jinja, Ntungamo, Mobende and Mukono recorded high passes among others, while districts of Kwen, Iganga, Bukwo, Bujiri, Bulambuli, Buyende and Luka among others performed poorly.
Where you see good performance in urban areas, know it for a fact that the parents are involved, the school management committees are involved, and many other things. So staff accommodation is a very important factor, because if schools are supposed to start at 8 and teachers are walking 3 kilometers and so on and so forth, this will affect the performance, the learning and teaching, and subsequently the performance. If where the teachers are not very punctual, it will affect the performance. So what I'm saying here is that in the rural areas, we are trying to make effort to ensure that other players in this game of performance, the parents, the communities, school management committees, play their part.
Results of 1,344 candidates remain withheld pending investigations by the Examinations Board UNEB for alleged involvement in the examination malpractice.
like impersonation, collusion, and external assistance, which were recorded. There is need for all stakeholders to join UNEB in the fight against the vice of examination practice. UNEB alone is not in a position to fight this vice, so all of us should be involved. This examination malpractice impacts on the validity and reliability of the candidate results, and we wouldn't like to see any of such occurrences continuing.
These are from schools of Goligoli Primary School in Chiboko District, Kachwamba Primary School in Bushenyi, Kodori Primary School in Budaka, Ganda Public School, and Chiteze CU, as well as St. Aloysius Memorial School, all from Wakiso District. UNEB has set the 29th and 30th of January this year as dates for selection of students to the various secondary schools and vocational institutions to further their education. Shamim Batalo, WS News.
The Ministry of Education and Sports still has a lot to do to improve standards among universal primary education schools, as majority of these failed to live up to the standards, leading to poor performance in national examinations. This emerged as some of the universal primary schools failed to register first grades in the just released PLE results.
The news of a 10.4% improvement in the 2014 performance of primary leaving exams comes with joy to many candidates, their parents and schools, but not to scholars who say the figure is still too low compared to the number of candidates that were registered. Even concerned about the issue is UNEB itself.
Performance is a function of many players and many activities. We should not only be focusing on the government or the minister alone. Where you see good performance in urban areas, know it for a fact that the parents are involved, the school management committees are involved, and many other things.
Performance improvement also calls for all stakeholders to make positive input through ideas that they may give either to the ministry or to the local government, through solutions, through providing selfless service to the schools and the community, and producing finished products.
The target by the Ministry of Education has been an increase in the number of candidates, which has been partly achieved, but the quality of products of the students remains questionable. There has been a major shift in terms of best performing schools that saw some up-country schools performing better than urban schools, which is attributed to improvement in literacy levels among up-country pupils. This, coupled with factors including laxity and lack of accommodation for teachers, among others.
Staff accommodation is a very important factor, because if schools are supposed to start at 8 and teachers are walking 3 kilometers and so on and so forth, this will affect the performance, the learning and teaching, and subsequently the performance.
Eastern Uganda was the worst performing region, with several schools failing to get first grades. But the number of candidates who scored 0 has reduced significantly.
There is some improvement in terms of the way the children are approaching these questions and so on. But for the thematic curriculum, the point here was to improve the literacy proficiency levels. Yeah, and according to the statistics they have seen, the literacy levels in some schools has been increasing.
The challenge for UNEB now remains malpractices, despite the heavy deployment of scouts, including police officers, to monitor pupils during exams. Over 13,000 candidates have their results withheld on allegations of malpractice. This, as UNEB says, there is need for more concerted efforts from all stakeholders. Stella Nabakoza, WBS TV.